Mic feedback on. Mic off. Mic feedback off. Mic on. Mic feedback on. Mic feedback off.
Hello, hello. Apologies for the slightly disorganized stream today. If there's anyone in chat, if you could let me know if you could see and hear everything okay, that'd be good. Just to let me know if everything's going okay. I can see there's 13 viewers, so if someone could kindly just let me know if there's anything I need to change, that'd be good. But at the moment, there's only 3 minutes left in qualifying, and pretty much everyone has set a lap except for the bottom three. That's Hegs, Aris, who is the reigning Academy Division champion, and Lewis, who I believe is a reserve driver, who's just come in. I don't think they've set a lap yet. But we're coming into the end of qualifying right now. I'll just get the information up so we can see what's going on where. But it's pretty quiet so far. Let's just see if there's someone on a lap. I believe Bevo's just finished a lap. Rather, Aris has just finished a lap. We'll see what Aris can do. I think that might just be their final lap unless they have enough fuel and time to recharge, since we're coming to the end of the qualifying session here.
Mic off. Mic on.
Apologies for the light commentary there. Dealing with a slight issue with the sound volumes, but we're coming to the end of qualifying. Not long left in the session. There's one car crash there at turn 1. I believe that's the Alpine of Basink, who just had a spin. Hopefully he doesn't impede the Red Bull who's on a lap behind him. I think that's Kinkaro, who's just started a lap. To follow along with him going into the bank corner, turn 3, where you take the low line, unlike what they do in real life, where the high line is actually faster. But he's going to be pushing here. Kinkaro, of course, used to be a protege champion in the last game. We'll see what lap time he can set here. We'll look ahead to Laney, who's the current provisional pole sitter. He's coming around the corners. We just saw Kinkaro go around. 10.5 is a fantastic banker to set, and I think he's going to be looking to improve on that. Let's see what Zilla's doing as he starts his lap now. All these three in contention for pole position. Zilla might be 7/10 off the original pole time. However, we find that drivers tend to improve quite a lot towards the end of qualifying as the track ramps up and they have newer tyres. But Kinkaro unfortunately hasn't validated. I assume that would be at turn 11, which is the corner just at the entry of the third sector. So we'll look back now to see what Laney's doing. Laney's just set the fastest second sector, going around turn 11 and 12 now, quite tidy. Gets on the power nicely, gets a bit of wheel spin, back end steps out, coming round turn 13 into the back final corner, which will have DRS in real life, but takes a short line to the finish line. Let's see what time he sets. Can he improve? He does, by just a margin of half a tenth. Laney sets at 10.507. We'll see now what Nameless Guy is doing, another contender for pole. Comes around turn 11 and 12. Just behind Zilla. Let's see what time Nameless Guy can set as he comes around turn 13. DRS open. I think the battery was off there, so I don't think Nameless is improving. Probably backed out of the lap. So it looks like the front row of the grid is pretty much set. Laney on pole, Kinkaro in second, Kyle third out of nowhere in the Haas, taking a second row start. Congratulations to him. Farmer Sam we saw crash out just at the beginning of the stream. He crashed out of qualifying, so he's only going to be fourth fastest for now. We'll just turn off instant replay. But yeah, that should be the end of qualifying. So we'll go on a short break. We'll return when we go for the race. Right, we are in the race session now. We'll just run through the race director if it loads up so we can see who is where. So of course we saw Laney on pole there, followed by Kinkaro and Carl in third. Farmer Sam, Nameless Guy and Kato are following. The two Ferraris in Zilla and Bev are close behind, with Basink in 9th place. And Scoob rounds out the first 5 rows of the grid. They're in P10. Nordal we have in P11. You're going to see the tires on the right hand side of the screen change a number of times as the drivers change and lock in their strategies. But Nordal, Bassbaby, Yardenberg, Crossdog, Achuri make up positions 11 to 15, and at the back of the grid we have Heggs, Aris and Lewis. Lewis of course didn't set a time there. Now you see Heggs there on the softs, which is going to be an interesting one to watch out for, because the softs can be incredibly fast but they burn out really quickly. So you're going to see what sort of interesting strategies Heggs pulled out of their hat today. We just saw Nordal there change from medium to hard, so I think the hard to medium is the preferred strategy around here. Of course, we see a few drivers switching back and forth, but if there's an early safety car, a lot of these medium runners are going to be quite happy to be on those mediums, because they can just go on the hards to the end. We're about to begin the formation lap now. Hello M-Dog, welcome to the chat. Yep, you can I think Sam only crashed out in qualifying, so you can remain in and see what he does in the race. Of course, he's starting P4. Let's see what positions he can make up. I'll just get the details up. So that to interval. And let's watch. We see the tires. Of course, the top three on medium, so they're going to be hoping for a safety car somewhere between lap 10 and 15. Because that'll get them to the end pretty easily on the hards, and they won't have to worry about the hard runners, who I think are on the faster strategy. Hard to medium is usually the faster strategy in ARL, or rather in the F1 game, just because of how long it takes to warm up the hard tires. It could take up to 2 or 3 laps to warm up, so it's a bit of a track dependent scenario, which tire strategy is faster. Of course, on some medium to hard is faster, on most others hard to medium is faster, so we'll see what happens here. I think if you just take 36 laps with no safety car, you're likely to just have the hard runners on the faster strategy. So I think Farmer Sam, if there's no safety cars, will be the favorite to win this race. Of course, we saw him crash out. He was quite quick in qualifying. So we weren't able to see the full advantage or the full extent of his pace. But coming up to the grid now, it's going to be important for these drivers to get good temperature. So you're going to see a few burnouts, some weaving. They're going to run into Lewis in P18, who unfortunately disqualified themselves from the formation lap, which means that they're going to have very, very cold tires. So we're going to see now as they come up to the back of the grid. Hopefully the Codemasters camera angles are in my favor today, so we can actually see what's going on. I'll try and sort that out as quickly as possible. As they line up on the grid, just waiting for that final countdown to begin. I think the Red Bull was late. And around Zandvoort, the Dutch Grand Prix is go, go, go. We'll go to the front of the grid. The camera angles are not fantastic, but Kyle is being absolutely left behind by Farmer Sam on the hard tires. The front two got away as well. We'll go to a different camera angle. Everyone seems to be pointing the right direction so far, a lot better than what we saw yesterday. But everyone's made it through turn 1, going into turn 2 now. There's a Red Bull at the front who's taking the lead. That's Kin Caro overtaking Laney, going around the back corner of turn 3. Laney, though, is not going to give up with the full battery. He chooses not to spend it, chasing the back of the Red Bull. He's got the toe. He's just happy to sit behind and wait for the DRS possibly to make the overtake. But everyone's pretty clean so far. We'll follow along with Kato and Basinki. I saw the Delta get a bit close, but everyone is doing quite well. Everyone's within DRS, which is a good sign of good things to come for the rest of the race. Yardenberg at the back switching positions with Achuri. We've watched that battle as they go side by side into the tricky turn 10. Such a long corner. They make a bit of contact. It's going to be a tight run to the line. We'll see who's going to back out. I think the car on the outside just has to back out, but he stays in. The Williams cuts the corner, probably gets a track limit warning, and he comes out on top in that situation. Jonberg just slots back into 13th. So a lot of action going up and down the grid. We'll go back to the front now. We'll see what Farmer Sam can do. There's an Alpine going into the pits. I think that's Kato, probably with damage from hitting someone or being hit by someone. But the front three are as they were as we left them before. Farmer Sam, of course, on the hard is going to be a lot slower, and Kyle's going to want to get ahead to make sure he doesn't lose too much time, because if you're on those mediums at the start of the race, you have to make sure you're getting the full advantage of them as soon as possible, because towards the end of the race it's going to be so difficult to try and stick with the faster medium runners when you're on the hards. But everyone's pointing the right way so far, bar Kato, who had to make a stop for that front wing change on the hards now. That's not going to be an ideal strategy. But of course it's not over. Anything can happen with the... whoa! As I was talking about everything being fine, we see Nordl, who's not an enemy to spinning, making a spin now. One of many to add into the collection. He's going to be back in 17th. Going to be a big recovery drive from him. I am really sorry for this Lando Nodal, but this is just the caster curse being reversed from back in the day. But yeah, Farmer Sam with a lot of clean air in front. The mediums carrying the front two away, Laney and Kinkaro, away from Sam. We'll see what Sam can do to try and stick in the DRS. Of course, it's quite difficult to keep up with the DRS because it's such a high downforce track. So if you have the advantage of having the rear wing open, you gain a lot of time throughout the lap. So it's going to be tricky for Sam, but of course Sam's race is not in the early stages, it's towards the end. So let's see how close he can stay to the medium runners. We'll try and look up and down the field for the dogfights, because we don't want to focus too much on the leaders when there's equally as much fighting going on at the back. Achuri on the medium, having a look at Bevo on the hard tire. Really close. We'll see what Achuri can do on the medium tire. He's having a look, just getting a bit close, but of course Bevo is going to be protected by the DRS that he's getting off Scoob on the hard tire. So we'll see if that makes a difference. And we'll try and watch for the straight line speed difference, because having a good straight line speed advantage can be the difference between having an easy overtake up and down the straight, or being stuck behind someone who you're well faster than. So you see Achuri now using the battery behind Bevo in the tow. We're going to see what's going to happen as they go side by side into turn one. Achuri just goes down the inside. Bevo tries to hang around. There's a bit of contact. There's space left on the exit, and I believe that's a move that Bevo's going to have to sit back and accept. Achuri's up into P9 there. Look at Aris now, who's last season's Academy champion. Qualified quite out of position. We expected a lot higher from him, but I think there were issues that he had to deal with. He's going to be pushing up the back now. You can see him just 2-3 tenths behind the car in front, trying to stay close. Please let me know if the stream is alright, guys. There's a bit of contact there. Looked away and just missed that contact. I believe he didn't get any damage from that, but we'll find out based on how the car's turning. Aris loses the position to Bass Baby. We'll see how that goes on. There's a spinner at the back. Heggs has made friends with the barrier there, but we're going to keep watching Aris 53, watching Bass Baby in front of him. Might have damage. The car looks a bit hard to turn, a bit stubborn. In front, Kyle is now just making that pass on Farmer Sam. Farmer Sam doesn't fight that because he knows Kyle has got the tire, probably got the battery advantage, so he just slots behind, lets that position go. He's going to want to fight back later, but Nameless Guy is also close behind now. We'll see what Nameless Guy chooses to do. Nameless Guy, we haven't seen much wheel-to-wheel racing. Unfortunately, Nameless Guy is always either in a position where he's in a high position and just driving alone because everyone else has either fallen behind or gotten involved in incidents, or he's had a crash and ended up somewhere at the back. So we'll be looking forward to see what Nameless Guy can do. We see Kyle there just making friends with the barriers, with the curb, sorry. He's gone off. Of course, you don't want to bottom out on that curb between turn 7 and 8 because it just sucks your car in and you cannot escape. So Kyle's lost quite a few positions, and Farmer Sam's not going to be happy because Sam's lost quite a lot of time having to avoid that. But now we'll see who else is in the battle. I think Yardenberg is probably going to be interested in making an overtake soon. The car in front on the hard tire, that's Bevo on the hard tire. Of course, Bevo's not going to have DRS. Bevo lost DRS to Achuri earlier. We'll see if they decide to fight. I think he is going to use the battery. We'll see what Bevo chooses to do, whether he's going to defend or not. Stays to the outside. Yardenberg has a look. Bevo leaves the space, but they just remain clear of each other. and I believe that battle's going to go on for another lap. But Scoob, we saw, just got a lot closer to Achuri there. I don't think he went for a move, but they were quite close in terms of the delta. And there's fighting up and down the grid here. I thought we were going to be in for a processional race where it's difficult to overtake. There's a yellow flag. I think that's Nordal or Laney. Laney's gone round. We'll try and look for that on the onboard of Zilla. Laney's gone round for some reason, and that's Cairo now released without any pressure. 80% battery in P1. Cairo is having a great race. He hasn't led many laps in this game cycle, so F122 has not been kind to this man, but he's leading the race now in that Red Bull. Maybe this is our fortune for the season. You know, it's always a good omen to start the season and lead the laps from the beginning, because it just means you get that confidence that you carry with you for the future races. So Kincaro's released, not a lot of pressure from Farmer Sam behind. He's got a lot of battery. Sam's got 40% disadvantage to him in the back there. Scoob, I believe, going side by side. There's a big battle here between these three cars. That's Laney having a look, who we just saw spin at Achuri. I think they made contact. It was hard to tell, but he gets a bit loosey-goosey on the exit. Going into turn 2, just slots back, and of course you can see Achuri flashing. It's so hard to recharge on this track, but there's a lot of racing going on up and down. Of course, I think Laney now is out of position. He qualified P1 it was, and now after that spin is at the back of the grid. So we'll see if Laney can do a fight back from where he is now. There's a nice long train forming here from P6, I want to say to P13. If Bever can just get back in, but we see now Aris getting a lot better drive out of that corner, having a look down to the inside of Yardenberg. Is he going to go around the outside? He does, but there's a bit of contact made, and Yardenberg has spun around, and unfortunately Yardenberg has lost out in that situation. So that was Bass Baby, sorry, not Yardenberg. Bass Baby has lost out in that situation. But there was incidental contact made there, and that might be reported and in the tickets very, very soon after the race. But there's a bit of racing up on the front. We see the Mercedes, they're having a look, and Laney and Achuri fighting once again into turn 1. So turn 1 is the ideal battle spot to look out for. If I could, I'd just have a quick hotkey to bind and have a look at turn 1 to see what's going on there, but unfortunately we're limited by the camera system of this game. But Laney's really pushing behind Achuri now, so Laney's going to be likely getting more and more impatient trying to get past, because once you have so much more pace than the driver ahead, it's really imperative that you get ahead of the driver ahead, just so your whole strategy isn't ruined. Because Laney just a few laps ago was thinking about the race win, but now he's at the fringes of the points. We're going to see what happens going around into turn 11, where we just saw the previous incident. They're going to go side by side. Laney surely gets a track limit penalty there. They make a bit of contact. It's a bit of an awkward corner to go around, but they make it through, and Laney has made that overtake. So up into P7 now. Going to be looking at Scoob. Of course, he's just going to get DRS. I don't think Achuri is going to be able to get that overtake done. We look at Scoob now chasing Zilla. The Ferrari seem to be the head of the DRS trains today, so Zilla's going to back out of that one, I think. No, Scoob's going to go around the outside, puts on the overtake quite early, and is taking that position from Zilla. So Scoob getting that move done, but of course all this fighting just loses everyone time on their strategy. So of course a lot of drivers are happy to fight and have fun, and that's what every racer really wants to do, is just have fun. But if you're looking for the positions, it's important to think about the long term and how far behind the leaders you are, because at the moment Scoob is if I just get the times up, that's the wrong one, times up there, around 9 seconds behind the next hard runner, which is Farmer Sam. So the hard to medium strategy is slightly faster around here, and if you continuously fight and lose a lot of time, of course that ends up not working in your favor. So if they could get the position sorted out and fight later on, it'll give everyone a better chance of getting those positions at the end of the race. Going on to lap 10 here, we see Laney and Zilla fighting again. Apologies for the Wrong camera selection there, but Laney and Zilla fighting. So Zilla seems to be the center of attention for all these drivers today. Zilla's lost that position to Laney, who's having quite a comeback drive here so far. In P6, gets a bit loose on the exit, and Zilla seems to have a lot of battery despite all of that fighting. And he's going to see Laney flashing and maybe find a bit of hope in that, because if Zilla can just keep on the back of Laney on that hard strategy, then he might be the one having the last lap at the end of the race. We tune into the back of the train now. Of course, we have a train formed now from P7 to P13. It was just, I think Zilla's just lost DRS on Laney, but there's a train of cars fighting. I think Aris is having a battle there with Basink, who nearly puts him into the pit wall. Squeezed really wide. Basink's going to get the switchback. What a switchback from Basink. But they make contact and they're both round in to the barrier, and Basink has crashed out. Arias has lost his entire front wing. That's surely going to be a safety car. That's going to be one for the tickets there. Basink made an incredible switchback, and I think they just made incidental contact at turn 1. And the safety car is out. So weren't expecting that, to be honest. But here we see Aris on the hard tire now with a broken front wing. Of course, he's going to have to pit now onto the medium tire, because he just has to get rid of that wing and get some new tires on. But all these guys on the medium strategy are going to be really smiling, because they can go into the hards now. Look at the damage he's got. But all of these medium runners can just hop into the hard tire and go to the end. So they don't have to stop if there's no other safety car, and all the hard runners are going to be at a big disadvantage in relation, because their tire wear is not going to be anywhere near as good if they stop now. And Ken Cairo has just gotten a 3-second time penalty on the safety car, of course leading the race. I believe he had a 5-second lead at some point, but now he's got a 3-second penalty, and that's going to be bothering him if he wants to get that race win. He's going to come out in the net lead of the race in terms of pit stops, but obviously behind Farmer Sam. But Farmer Sam was actually also just pit. So I think Cairo will maintain both the net lead or the actual lead if he's able to get out ahead of Zilla, who's just gone around the other side of turn 1. Of course, Zilla hasn't made that pit stop yet. So Zilla in P1 is going to maintain the lead on track. But of course, if another safety car comes out in a few spots, in a few laps rather, then Zilla might not be in too bad of a position. As you see, actually, most of the hard run is boxing now into medium, so maybe a lot of them are hoping that they can go to the end on those mediums, but it's going to be quite a challenge for them. Despite that, I think they're still going to try it and see what they can do. Of course, the mediums will be faster than the hards quite easily from this point onwards, but towards the end it's going to be difficult to carry all of that extra tire wear. At least Nordal now is back in the mix for the for racing, because Nordal now is in P6. We saw Nordal go around earlier on, and he's back into the mix now in the middle of the pack, so he's not going to have a lonely race going forward. I think it's a bit of a position swap. I'm not sure what's going on. Churi and Bevo just had a swap of positions, and they've made contact. This is an interesting scenario. Are they racing? Oh, and Churi has just gone round and into the barrier. All right. I don't really know what's going on there, but I think Churi is gonna have to box now, surely. Or no, Churi's staying out. That he's not bothered. He's happy to stay out with the wing. I'm not entirely sure what's just happened in front of me. There's rumors of heavy penalties. I think someone has a drive-through penalty. Farmer Sam has a drive-through penalty. So thank you, M-Dog, for letting us know about that. Believe I missed that notification on the top of the screen. But Farmer Sam has a drive-through penalty, which I assume is for not adhering to the delta. So that's virtually 20-25 seconds lost in race time. So he's going to be hoping for another safety car to come out later on, because of course you can't serve your drive-through penalty under the safety car. That's going to be good for the other hard runners because, of course, having Sam on those mediums, he's going to have a massive grip advantage over the hard runners. So having Sam get that drive-through penalty is going to be a blessing in the minds of those on the hard tires at the front. So mainly Zilla, Cairo, Nameless Guy, and Kyle. As we see the safety car coming in this lap, I'll go to the front of the grid now, just so we can monitor the leader's speed there. It's illegal according to rulebook to go below 60, and he gets really close. So adhering to the rules there, we'll see if Zilla chooses to go early or late on those older tires. With the short straight here at Zandvoort, I doubt that it'll make too much of a difference. Oh, it was very close to a spin there, weaving as much as possible. But Zilla has gone early, which is going to give Cairo a look down the inside in the slipstream. They're both using as much battery as they can. Cairo just saves the battery because he knows he has the net lead of the race despite being second on track. But it seems to be a processional safety car restart, no major position changes. Baz Baby at the back having a bit of a battle with Aris. It's a tricky corner to go side by side, but they both live to see it. Aris looking around the outside. Do they make contact? This is going to be the second time Aris made contact. Then no, that's a clean battle. We go side by side. Are they going to go side by side into this corner? Of course, that's not going to work if you go there, and that's collected. I believe the Haas of Lewis at the back as well. So Bass Baby has gone around. The Haas of Lewis has gone around. I'm not sure if the Haas was selected by them, so that's going to be looked at after the race. I'm pretty sure to see if there's a penalty. But yeah, other than that, the safety car restarts are pretty alright. Kato we see losing a bit of grip of the rear, sliding around. We go back forward to Scoob, who I believe is in the battle with Nordal and Laney. And Laney's having a great recovery drive after suffering that spin earlier on. And Nordal's gone off on the curbs, lost that position, and now Laney's going to have a look down the inside of his teammate, who I think just lets him through. Of course, the teammates are not going to want to fight too hard at this stage of the race and just try and work out who's faster for the sake of the team. But Laney now up into P7, which I believe is net P6. So not too bad for Laney, who was unfortunately spun out of the contention for the lead earlier on, and it's not the end. Crossdog has just joined the session. I assume he's shortly going to be joining in the commentary box, possibly. We'll see what happens in a few minutes. Bevo at the back is having a battle with Norden, who's bleeding positions on this restart. The old hard tire is not being kind to him. So I assume Crossdog, or rather, sorry, Crossdog is in the race, not commentating. But yeah, Crossdog gonna have a look at Nodal if he's actually the one in control or if that's AI. We'll see what happens there. Churi's retired from the session, and this is definitely an AI car driving. And that's a second safety car that's just come out. So yeah, Crossdog's game has crashed, unfortunately, according to Reblets in the chat, and that's the second safety car. So we'll see what happens. I reckon Zilla is going to surely come in now for a new set of mediums, and he's going to have a 3 or 4 lap advantage of tyre wear, and he's got the slowest speeding penalty I've ever seen in my life. He was just over. It's a tricky pit lane, this one, because it's a 60 kilometer an hour speed limit instead of the 80 that basically every other track has, bar Monaco and Silverstone. So I think a lot of drivers were just forgetful that this is an 80 speed limit, sorry, rather 60 speed limit track. And we'll go again shortly. We'll have a look at some information while we're under the safety car. Fastest lap at the moment is a 13.9 by King Cairo. Zilla has an exploration of track limits there, just touching the grass. But King Cairo has the fastest lap, closely followed by Farmer Sam, who was on the hards for his first stint. because of penalties now. Farmer Sam still has that drive-through, so if only Farmer Sam served that drive-through before, he wouldn't have to worry too much about it now, since we have a safety car, because he'd just be back with the pack. So unfortunately, Farmer Sam's going to have to miss out on this opportunity to get back in the pack and hope for another safety car. Of course, most people are on a one-stop. I think Kato stopped twice after getting damage on the first lap. And I think pretty much everyone at the back there has had some sort of damage, which is why they have 2 or 3 stops. In terms of position changes, the biggest gainer at the moment is Aris 53, last season's Academy Division champion. I believe there was an issue that he had in qualifying, whether that was invalidations or whatever was going on. So Aris up 8 positions. Biggest loser at the moment is Laney, who is on pole. Aris has crashed out. I don't know what just happened. I wasn't paying attention to what Aris is doing at that particular moment. So if someone could quickly clip that or have a look, that would be nice to know, because Aris just crashed out on the safety car on the straight. So it's not entirely clear what just happened, but as I was saying, Laney was the biggest loser of this race. Started on pole position and now in P6 after the spin. So back in contention, obviously, for the win here, because after a safety car, pretty much anyone can win if you can go to the end on the tyres. Right, we'll get back the information, the tyre information. So Zilla has the best advantage of the moment of the people who just stopped. So Zilla's at the front of that pack on the new medium tyres. Crossdog's on the new hard tyres. Maybe that's because Crossdog might have used his 2 medium ones earlier, or Crossdog may have picked a different tyre allocation. So Crossdog will be in possession of 2 new hard tires instead of the one that most other people will have. But while we're on the safety car, I'll just quickly have a look at the race director and see how many warnings everyone is on. Of course, we saw Farmer Sam pick up that drive-through earlier on with 1 track limit warning. Of course, the next driver, Kin Kara, has got a penalty and 4 warnings on lap 11. So either he had a really horrible lap 11, or that might be a game bug that he applies to have removed after the race. And Nameless Guy only has 1 track limit warning. Kyle has got 2, so he's just flirting with a penalty. Scoob_AU has no warnings. Laney has 2, almost on 3. Bevo has a clean record, as does Yardenberg. Kato joins them. Zilla has picked up 1 warning there on lap 7. And a 5-second time penalty. I'm not sure what that's for. Oh, that was for the speeding, which we saw earlier on. Nodal has a clean record as well. Crossdog has 3 warnings and a penalty on lap 15. That seems a bit interesting. Might have a look at that after the session. Heggs had a warning on lap 5. He started on the soft tire. And Lewis at the back has a 5-second time penalty from lap 14. Bass Baby, of course, with a clean record, and Aris, who's just crashed out and left the session, had 3 warnings, and I believe one of the warnings might be for a collision and a 3-second time penalty. And he crashed out as well. So we're back underway here. We'll look at the safety car restart, which Farmer Sam is leading. We must not go below 60, which he doesn't, but he's taking his sweet time on this restart. Watching everyone behind back up into each other. You must watch out to not break your wing on the car ahead, but he has gone now. No cars behind are going to be going. Farmer Sam got a really good restart here. Didn't have to go until the line, and he didn't go until the line. So he's in P1 with those 7-lap-old medium tires. There's a battle going on here between Kyle and Nameless Guy. We'll watch that from the point of view of Scoob. They don't make contact. Everyone's just slotting in behind each other. But going around the banked corner, Laney's going to try and go around the outside of Bevo, sorry. And they follow each other through the bank corners of 4, 5 and 6 into turn 7 now, the long left-hander. They've all settled down now. They've decided their order. I'll just quickly change that interval to gaps between each car. But everyone's pointing the right way so far. Farmer Sam, of course, in the lead on those newer medium tires. But of course, Farmer Sam has a drive-through penalty, so he's not a factor that the leaders should be concerned about at the moment. Zilla at the back having a battle with Nodal, just backs out, almost hits the back, but just remains clean. And it's a train here. Everyone is still pointing in the right direction. We'll have a look at the closer deltas now. Kato and Bevo close by each other. Kato's going to be pushing the back of Bevo. Just has a look. Bevo leaves the space, but he can't really get that position, Kato. You see them as they go around the banked corner. That's turn 3. It's corner to corner there, so they're not really wanting to use too much battery, but you can see Kato just has a straight line speed advantage, so that might be the toe working in his favor, or just a difference in setup. We'll find out as they go through the next few turns if Bevo can pull away from Kato. We'll know for sure, but they seem pretty equal at this point. Farmer Sam has served that drive-through penalty now, so Farmer Sam's at the back of the grid wanting to push and catch up to the back. That 5-second gap isn't too bad, and I think Farmer Sam can catch up if he uses his battery in the right moments, and he could even end up fighting for points here. Akin Cairo in the lead, 9-lap old hards, followed by Kyle. Cairo, of course, has that 3-second time penalty, so he's going to be pushing as much as he can to try and break that gap to Kyle to keep that lead of the race and score a win here for himself and for Red Bull. But of course, there's every possibility that the warnings might be erroneous, as we saw multiple warnings on the same lap for Cairo. So for now, let's just assume those are legit and that he's going to be pushing for a gap here. So look back now at Nodal, who's getting close to Yardenberg on those much younger mediums. The grip advantage really comes alive in these prolonged corners, and they're going to go almost side by side, just corner to corner, and Yardenberg holds that position. We'll see if they can keep it clean going into the next few corners. They do, and Nodal has made a very, very tidy move. Well done, Nodal, getting past the McLaren of Yardenberg there. But of course now Nodal's not going to have any DRS because he lost a lot of time fighting, so Kato is not going to be able to give him the benefit of the rear wing. Yardenberg now is going to be under pressure from the Ferrari of Zilla behind as they go side by side into turn 1. Zilla is going to make that move, so in the space of about a sector, it looks like Yardenberg has just lost out 2 positions. He's going to try and fight that, but just has to slow it back and let Zilla take the lead. So a lot of good racing here in the midfield. Just like in real life, there's a lot more racing going on in the midfield than there is at the front of the grid. But it's clean racing. And we see Kato now pushing closer and closer to Bevo. We'll see if they can give us a bit of entertainment fighting for the lead. Gaps starting to form now between tire ages and driver skill. So you see Nodal now pushing to catch up to the back of Kato on 6-lap younger medium tires, which does make a massive difference around here. That's I think about a 20% tire wear difference, which you definitely feel when you're driving, and you can see Nodal has easily gotten back into the DRS range of Kato. But the front Laney has already exhausted the contents of his battery, trying to catch up and push Scoob and Kyle around. So these three just really on the edge with the battery, all of them teetering between 10 and 20%. Nameless guy, of course, has got 40% now, which is a much bigger advantage and will be useful. He's quite close to Laney now. Let's see if he has a look down the inside. We've seen other people crash here. Nameless guy makes a wise decision, in my opinion, and backs out of that one. There's a yellow flag there. I think that's Nordal that's gone round again. And Lewis, I think, has hit the back. Not sure what's happened. They spun round, and that's another safety car. Another full course yellow's come out, and a safety car on lap 23 of 26. That's the third of 3 safety cars so far. And it looks like the incidents are just piling on and continuing to accumulate here. I don't think we're going to see very many pit stops because there's not really any other tire compounds that the drivers could use, but Nodal there has lost half his front wing. You can see the end plate on the right side there is missing. We see some drivers come into the box. I'm not sure if they're going to go for soft tires, because the soft tires, in my opinion, would not be a very good tire to be on at the moment. A lot of the drivers started on the hards initially at the beginning of the race, have gone from medium to another set of mediums now, so you're going to see big differences. Nodal serving a 5-second penalty there, but you're going to see big grip differences between all of the drivers who've just stopped. So we see Kato there boxing onto 9-lap-old hard tires, so he's going to be the big loser surrounded by all those medium runners. He's going to be spending a lot of battery trying to keep up with everyone. But I don't think we're going to be in for a long safety car because the field's probably going to bunch up very shortly. So I reckon end of 25, end of lap 25 we could come in. So not too long. Kinkaro stopped from the lead of the race. Please let me know if the stream is alright, by the way, if there's any jittering or any issues to do with quality, and I'll see what I can do to fix that. So far so good though, judging by the lack of complaints in the Twitch chat. But Kinkaro, who was in the lead, has boxed now for new medium, so we'll see if Kinkaro's natural pace advantage over everyone else on this track and that new new medium tire can give him the advantage he needs. I don't think Heggs in the Red Bull is going to give Cairo too much of a fight since they are teammates, but of course Crossdog, Yarnberg, Bass Baby and Laney are not going to take any position losses without fighting, so we'll see what happens. Of course there could be another safety car towards the end that forces everyone onto the soft tire. Kato's come in again. I think Kato didn't want to be on those hard tires, picks up a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and I think he's going to go on to a pair of soft tires, which is an interesting decision. Those are definitely not going to go to the end of the race, that's guaranteed. So maybe Kato is just stopping onto the soft tires before going on to the mediums again, but we'll see what happens. Kato definitely cannot go to the end on these because the tires will pop before he gets to that point. But I don't think he really has much of an option. He's going to have to race on these now because he's going to catch up to the back of the safety car, and the safety car is going to get called in. Michael Massey is going to pick up the phone and tell Bert Maylander to drive the safety car back into the pits. So we'll see if he catches up. He's going a bit slow, which is alright. Nothing wrong with that. But I think if Kato catches up to the back of the train by turn 11, that's going to be it from the safety car. Of course, he can get called in quite late, so we'll see what happens. I don't think it's going to get called in now since there's a big gap forming there between the Ferraris. I'm not sure what's happening. There's a large gap on this track map, but safety car's coming in regardless. We'll see what Laney does on those 13-lap-old hards. He's going to be in a much slower car compared to everyone else behind. We'll watch there and see what Laney does. We'll follow along with the cars behind. to see what they do and how they react. But Laney's gone, Bass Baby's gone, Yardenberg's gone, and they're all going to be going down the main thread into turn 2. We'll see a lot of cars going side by side. Let's see if they keep it clean on the cold tires. There's a bit of contact, and that's Heggs round into the barrier. I think Bevo's been involved in a collision there as well, and they're still hitting each other. He's stuck on the curb, so he's just gonna hang around there for a bit. We'll see what's going on elsewhere in the race. I think Heggs is probably going to get disqualified if he doesn't reset the track, which is the correct thing to do there. But we see now the Red Bull of Ken Cairo on much younger tires is going to be pushing Yardenberg and likely trying to have a look for a move down into turn 11. Is he going to use the battery? Nope. He lets Yardenberg exhaust his battery because he knows his race is for the win, and he just needs to make sure he can get himself there on those better tires. In the back we see a lot of position changes. I think that's Nameless Guy and that's Kato and Zilla having a fight. Zilla just backs out of that one. Kato takes a racing line on those soft tires. We'll see how long Kato can take those tires into the race. But the battle's not over. Zilla is having a look in the slipstream. Kato goes defensive into turn 1. They leave each other plenty of room, and Zilla just backs out of that. Kato takes a position. So well done to those two for clean racing. We'll follow along with the Mercedes of Scoob, who is literally inside the diffuser of Yardenberg into this fast corner. There's going to be a massive pace difference. You see he has to brake just to give himself a bit of clean air behind the McLaren, but I think very shortly you're going to see Scoob making that overtake on Yardenberg, trying to keep up with Kin Cairo's pace. You can see him on with the overtake out of turn 10, trying to get a better position to make the overtake into turn 1. And of course that's very dependent on how you exit turn 12 and 13. So if he can stay close through turn 13, and if Yardenberg runs wide like he's just done there, we'll see what position he's about to gain here. Yardenberg's not going to fight it that much. He's just going to let the Mercedes go through, save himself some race time, and he's just going to slot nicely there into P4. So position gain for Scoob, 1 loss for Yardenberg. Scoob is going to be trying to push to catch up to Kin Cairo now, because of course if he and Kin Cairo can overtake these guys ahead, and if Scoob can stay within that penalty window of Kin Cairo, Scoob could come away with the win today. So we'll keep monitoring them. As we're doing that, we'll go to Kato on those soft tires, probably having a lot more fun than he was at the beginning, having a fight with a few of the other cars. Zilla and Beva, the two Ferrari. Whoa! Kato gets a bit loose on the curb, catches the spin. We'll see how he's able to recover. His tires will not like that slide in terms of the temperature overheating. At the front there we see is a fight there between Farmer Sam, Kyle and Yardenberg. Farmer Sam back in the race after getting a drive-through penalty. The third safety car bringing him back into the fight for the lead. Mounts the curb there. We'll see what these three do. DRS is enabled. Kyle is low on battery, so he's going to be low on power. They're going to make it 3 wide going into turn 1. Are they going to keep it clean? This usually doesn't end well, but it's ended fine here for the both of them. In the back, Yardenberg hit Nameless Guy there, but Farmer Sam in the space of 1 corner and a straight has made up 2 positions. So clinical piece of driving there. Farmer Sam is going to be wanting to catch up to Scoob now, and hopefully Bass Baby. Speaking of Bass Baby, we're going to go to the front now and see him behind Cairo, a lot closer than I thought he would be. In the background, the Bevo has just gone round at turn 3. Not sure what happened there. But Bass Baby is doing a really good job of sticking with Kin Cairo, and Laney on those really old tires, not losing too much time to Kin Cairo. So Laney in a very good position here. 2.5 second gap with 6 laps to go, 6 and a bit laps to go for the win. So we'll see how that progresses as it goes on. Let's go back now to Kato, Nordl, Zilla, and Crossdog, who are all quite close to each other. Of course, Kato is on those really fresh mediums, soft rather, going into the back of the slipstream there, going side by side into turn 1. Zilla around the outside, backs out. These guys love to go side by side, but he stays in there rather, and he's going to back out of turn 2 instead. So Kato is doing really well on those soft tires, so hopefully they don't pop on him, because I don't want to see a good performance like this go to waste, because he's making up those positions. Go back to the front now. Scoob chasing Bass Baby. Bass Baby is not doing too shabby on those older mediums. Of course, we have had 2 safety cars to sort of control the tire wear, so that difference might not be as pronounced. But Scoob now using some battery there on the exits. I'm assuming Bass Baby is doing the same there as well. No, not really. But of course, the slipstream and the DRS not doing too much for Scoob there as he tries to chase down Bass Baby. As we say that in the background, there's a bit of position change there. Kato getting past Jardenberg there, so having a look now at Crossdog, trying to hunt Crossdog down. His tires don't seem to be dying, Kato, so pardon me, yeah, Kato's doing quite well on those tires. In the front we see Kin Cairo still with a large gap to Laney, who got pole position in qualifying, suffered a spin, and has had to make quite a few overtakes to get back to this position. Kin Cairo doesn't seem to be making too many inroads on Laney here. Managing your battery is a key element of racing here at Zandvoort, because you gain so much advantage of having just even 10% more ERS than the car ahead of you, especially if they're flashing, because of course when you're flashing and your car is in low deployment, you lose a lot of straight line speed, and to be honest, in Zandvoort you don't really have much straight line speed anyway, so losing any on top of that is a big disadvantage in terms of how you race. Look at Kato now, he just seems to be pushing everyone in front of him. His tires just don't die. The Sergio Perez, the Lewis Hamilton of tire management in this division now. So we'll see if he's able to get past Crossdog. They're taking very alternate lines, and that's a good thing about this track. You can take very different lines, and they seem to work out quite well for each driver. It just depends on which one you prefer and are more comfortable with. Crossdog is definitely driving a lot tidier, or rather Kato is driving a lot tidier than Crossdog, and of course Crossdog's not going to get DRS now because he's behind at the detection point. Kin Cairo sets fastest lap in his attempt to catch and pass Laney, but Kato is maybe starting to back off and look after his tires. He's not really too aggressive. Scoob at the front is just going side by side with Bass Baby, so Scoob finally making that overtake on his much younger tires. Side by side into turn 3, they're not going to give up. They leave each other racing room. It's imperative that contact is not made as they race each other. Bass Baby now in the back of Scoob here. Just backs out, doesn't want to go side by side, but there's an Alfa Romeo having a look there, just shoving his nose in. That's Farmer Sam. He just sees an opportunity and goes for it. So he's going around the outside at turn 9 where no one really expected it. But yeah, Bass Baby now being challenged by Kyle. So Bass Baby has just spun. There's a bit of contact. Kyle has lost the end plate there. So Bass Baby under pressure, being forced into a mistake, and now Kyle suffered as a result of that. So Kyle now has damage, and that's going to be GG to his chances of fighting for the win, just because he's going to be losing so much front end grip there. So Farmer Sam has been the big winner of the events of the last few corners. Back into P4 now. Of course, 5 5 odd seconds off the lead. So we'll see if there's any incidents up front. Ken Cairo there in P2, he's caught up to the back of Laney with a much bigger battery advantage. So Cairo is going to be wanting to make that pass onto the main straight there when he has the full benefit of a charged battery and the DRS. So Laney, he does have a penalty as well. We'll just have a look at the penalties. They both have 3-second penalties. Of course, Cairo's was a bit suspicious, so we'll see if that gets removed later on. But we'll stick with these guys for now. Cairo and Laney pushing each other. Laney's losing he just stepped out there coming out of turn 9, and Laney has allowed King Cairo to get through because of that mistake. So Cairo is going to be behind. Of course, Laney's going to have the DRS going side by side into turn 11. We'll see who comes out on top. Laney goes around the outside, mounts the curb. Well done by Laney there to race and get that position back. So he's in a fighting mood today, Laney. He's a huge fighter here. We'll go back to third now. There's a bit of fighting going on there, so I'll try and do my best to get you both views of what's going on. Ken Cairo now with DRS. This is for the lead and the race win. We see Cairo going down the inside with DRS. Turn 1 makes that move. Laney cannot find that one. It's lap 35 of 36. It's going to be, I think, 2 more big opportunities. We'll see Sam now pushing Scoob. Of course, they are on a relatively equal battery level, so this is going to come down to who has the lower wings, who gets the better exit out of the final bank corner. So it's a lot of fighting up and down the grid. Laney and Ken Cairo are our 2 main focuses here, because this is for the lead of the race. Laney with his 23-lap old hard tires, Ken Cairo with the medium tires. They've done an excellent job today to pull away from the rest of the pack and have this fight on their own. This is almost like what we saw in 2021 with Max and Lewis just being in a league of their own every single race ahead of the pack. Laney and Ken Cairo have been way faster than everyone else today here at Zandvoort, and they're going to be the 2 main contenders. Cairo with a big battery advantage. He's not going to have DRS obviously because he's the lead car. Laney is going to use all that battery, open the DRS at the line there, and we'll see if Laney's able to have a big enough advantage try get that overtake done. Laney is just not going to be able to get ahead of turn 1, and I think that's going to be the move that decides the race, because there's not going to be any more opportunities. We see Sam and Scoob now behind. Scoob and Sam make contact. Sam got really close to the back there, and Sam is going to be an aggressive one, so we'll see what he can do if he can overtake. Sam is not an enemy of overtaking in awkward places, and we saw earlier he made that pass around the outside of turn 8 there on a car that wasn't expecting it. So Sam and Scoob are going to keep fighting to the end here. Do not count Sam out until the line, because he loves to make last lap dives. But Laney and Ken Cairo are in the front here. We'll see who comes out on top after this DRS. I think Cairo is going to have just enough battery. He's not flashing. The straight's not going to be long enough for Laney to get an advantage. We'll look back now at Sam. He's chasing down Scoob. He's not going to be anywhere close enough to get a chance to overtake there. So I think that's going to be the top 4 decided today. Coming round the banked corner today here in Zandvoort, it's Ken Cairo, the winner in the Netherlands. Behind him, Laney, who has a valiant fight on those 25-lap old hard tires, coming in to finish on the 2nd step of the podium after taking pole position. Massive fight back and a great performance from Laney today. He can be proud of that. Scoob in P3, Farmer Sam P4. After that extraordinary comeback drive, suffering a drive-through penalty. The safety cars did help, but the overtakes we saw today from this man were quite remarkable. Nameless Guy in P5 for the Williams. Bass Baby in P6, so at one point was in the fight for the lead. Finishing there at P6. Zilla, who we saw in the middle of quite a few races with a few other drivers. A lot of action and overtaking going on with Zilla and his teammate Bevo in the other Ferrari today. Carl in P8, who we saw just get out of shape and get damage after making a collision with one of the other cars. Jardenberg in P9, and Kato, who took those softs somehow from 12 laps ago to this point. Really well done by him. And of course, Nordal, Crossdog, Bevo and Heggs running at the remaining finishers. We saw Lewis, Aris, Achuri and Basinkel crash out earlier on in the race, but we see Hegg cross the line. That's the end of the Dutch Grand Prix. So an eventful race here. Apologies for the for some issues with the stream earlier on. Hopefully that did not affect your enjoyment today. We'll quickly grab the race director. So obviously we'll just have a look at the results now. King Cairo, your winner today, starting second on the grid, finishing first. Laney, our pole sitter, grabbing second after doing an extraordinary stint, surviving 2 safety car restarts on the hards. And Scoob, your third place podium finisher today. So I'll just scroll down to make sure we have all of the positions available on stream with all the penalties. And I'll quickly grab the race director. So we see a 4-stop race with 5 different tires. So 4-stop race from Bass Baby, finished P6, and a 1-stop from Laney, finishing P2. So all sorts of strategies up and down the grid here today. So just grab all of the track limit warnings. Alright, and that should be the end of the race today. So you'll notice that the graphic I have here on screen is not updated at the moment. ARL is a 3-tier league at the moment on F1 22. Of course, we're only on PC, so unfortunately not crossplay supported at the moment. However, if you're interested, we also have a iRacing league that takes place here in the league. So if you join the Discord, I believe the link will be in the bio to the Twitch channel. You're able to participate in both F1 22 and 23 when the game gets released, and in iRacing. So 3 tiers for F1 and a big GT3 season for iRacing. So if you're interested, do check the Discord and come sign up. We're happy to accept new races. But for now, it's going to be goodbye for me. I hope you enjoyed this stream, and I'll see you